Ink sprays are more versatile than they might first appear. You don't just have to spray them. You can use them in so many different ways, including in various watercolor techniques. Every technique video is narrated live while I'm doing the technique, so you're getting a real-time view of how the whole process works. Pull out the supplies I'm using and create right along with me, pausing as you need. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. For many, ink sprays spend a lot of time on the shelf simply because we don't know what to do with them besides just spray. So I'm going to show you 3 different watercolor techniques that you can use with your ink sprays to get more mileage out of this great medium. For my first technique, I just simply took my ink sprays and I poured them out into some pans here, and I'm going to use them just like regular watercolors, as you can see. Even an oxide spray can be used as a regular watercolor. You're going to want to probably take some water and add that into your inks so that way they are a little bit more dilute. Even your distress oxides you can add extra water to, so that way they're not as intense, but they can be as intense as you want them to be, just like any other liquid watercolor. And the great thing about using your sprays as watercolors with your brushes is that they're not designed to shatter, meaning that the color is going to stay consistent. It's not going to break into unexpected colors like sometimes using your ink pads does for you. So you can use these to paint to your heart's content. Perhaps you have a color that you don't have in regular watercolors or other watercolor inks. You can then use your ink sprays to fill in those gaps and get some really amazing looks, just like you can with your regular watercolors. And like I said, you can use your distress oxides. Now you see how this looks dark right now. Well, when I mix it up, that oxidation material that's in the spray is going to mix back into here. And I can put it on top of my other colors. I can blend it on its own. I can do all sorts of really cool things with the oxides. And then when they dry, of course, they're going to get that kind of milky look like we're used to having distress oxides do. And you can see here where I'm mixing it with the blue, it is taking on a green hue because the blue and the green from the crushed olive are mixing together. So I'll get a really cool kind of greenish blue petal here with some oxidation in it. So this is the first way to use your ink sprays as watercolors, is to simply pour them out and use them as liquid watercolors. For the second example, I'm going to just take a piece of cardstock here and I'm going to spray it a little bit to get it wet. And then I'm going to take the wand out of the bottle and just use it to draw and drop patterns onto my cardstock. And as you can see, it's going to start blooming and doing really cool things, but it's going to stay in a pattern, which is really, really cool. And I can do different colors. As usual, I can add splatter to it, right? Just by tapping a little bit on the wand. And getting some really cool looks this way. So just kind of drawing with the wand. And by adding that water, we're going to get that blooming effect and get something really cool going on here. If I want to add a little bit more softness to this, I can spray a little bit more. And it's going to move that around a little bit. And once this dries, it's going to be a really cool abstract look. And of course, if you want a more soft abstract look on your cardstock, you can always go ahead and spray these like you would on a dry cardstock, like so. But then take your brush and add a little bit of water to it and move it around to give it that more watercolor effect. If you leave some of the spray around the edges, then you've got a little bit of a dry look and a wet look together. great thing about adding these techniques to your toolbox is that you can combine them with techniques you already know to create something even more amazing, like adding a little bit of splatter to your designs, or even adding a little bit of ink dripping on top, again, using your ink sprays. There's really no limit to what you can do with this amazing medium, and I hope it helps you pull them off your shelf more often. I hope you enjoyed this technique and you add it into your toolbox sometime soon. When you give it a try, share it out on Instagram and tag me at Nicole Watt Creates. I always love to see what your creative mind is thinking. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today, and until next time, happy crafting.